Kiryu-chan.
Wow, he was correct there. You get a Japanese dude, dress him in a gray suit, and have a few fight scenes. It should not be hard to bring Sega's Like a Dragon or Yakuza series to the big or small screen. Of all the attempts to bring the series to live action, Amazon's series is by far the worst. I thought Takashi Miike's movie was mediocre, but we all owe him an apology. Amazon's Like a Dragon Yakuza was poorly received by fans and critics, and after watching it myself, I can say that it sucks. It fails as both an adaptation of the game and as its own crime drama. So what's wrong with Amazon's Like a Dragon series? Well, a lot really, so here's why Amazon's Like a Dragon Yakuza Beyond the Game sucks. Due to copyright issues, I'm using screen caps of the show, so forgive the slideshow. The Amazon series is a loose adaptation of the first game, as loose as my old pants after I dropped 50 pounds. The plot follows two different time periods, one in 1995 and one in 2005. 1995 is all about Kazuma Kiryu, played by Ryoma Takeuchi, and his best buddy Akira Nishikiyama, played by Kento Kaku, and how they got involved in Yakuza activities. In 2005, Kiryu gets released after 10 years and the joint made him a fucking pussy. He finds that Nishiki is leading the Yakuza, there's a mysterious girl named Haruka, and Haruka's mother Aiko is missing, as well as 10 billion yen. Additionally, there's a masked serial killer running around Kamurocho that's looming in the background. I don't have to call him a serial unaliver, do I? I don't want to go through all of the differences between the game and the series, because if I did that we'd be here all day, and it's clear from the first scene that the Amazon series only took the plot of the first game as a suggestion at best. What I mean is that the first scene in the Amazon show is Kiryu and Nishiki pulling a heist on a Tojo clan establishment. So what was your favorite part of Yakuza 1? Maybe you enjoyed fighting all the boss battles, maybe you enjoyed going out with all the hostesses, or was it the part where you and Nishiki rob a Tojo establishment while in the Tojo clan? And if you couldn't tell, that did not happen in the game. One of the biggest flaws of the series is that it's splitting its time between two different time periods. Just the story of Kiryu and Nishiki joining the Tojo clan in 1995, or the story of the missing 10 billion yen and Aiko would be enough to drive a full 6-episode series. You don't need two stories going along at the same time, because it just makes both seem like they're taking forever to progress. Not helping is that there are a lot of side quests like dealing with some white people to get a stamp to get funding for the Millennium Tower, or going to Osaka to find Aiko. The games do have a lot of side quests, but we didn't need that in the series. Or if they did, they could have made them at least a bit more fun. That whole 10-year gap of Kiryu being in prison takes forever to fill in. It's not until the second to last episode to know what pushed Nishiki off the deep end and why Kiryu was even in the slammer in the first place. Which is weird because if you play the original game, the series follows some of the major plot points. Nishiki's sister does die in a situation that could have been avoided, and that event is what pushed him off the deep end. Kiryu takes the fall for Nishiki for offing a Tojo leader, which does land him in the clink for 10 years. The missing 10 billion yen is something that all of the big dogs in the series are scrambling to locate. It's the context around these events that changes in the series. So fans who play the game aren't going to be happy with the changes, and newcomers are going to be bored by what's going on. Compounding the issue of this time split is that you don't get too much time with the characters. The story is divided between Kiryu, Nishiki, and Yumi, and I never got a feel for any character, what their personality was beyond the surface level. The actors are giving their best performances, they just aren't given much to work with. I totally see Takeuchi as Kiryu in live action. He has his mannerisms and looks down perfectly. When I see him rocking around in that gray suit, I'm like, oh my god, there he is. That's Kiryu. He even did a sick cover of Bakamitai for Sega's socials, and it is beautiful. I think Takeuchi cared more about the series than the producers did. Kaku also absolutely owns as Nishiki's 2005 self. He really steals any scene that he's in, but you don't see him as much as you would want. It's not quite James Marsden Cyclops levels of waste, but it's close. I said I wasn't going to compare all the differences between the game and the series, but it cannot be avoided. Just some examples. Serena is a cabaret club here. In the games, it's a snack bar ran by Reina. Majima loses his eye because of a failed hit, because in the series he shot at a white girl in public, not because of the failed Seiwa Ueno hit. Then Majima disappears from the series other than a brief cameo in episode 6. He's better off than Taiga, who gets shot then vanishes without a trace. Fun fact about Taiga, he was in jail because of the failed Seiwa Ueno hit until Yakuza 4. And Taiga's ugly as hell in the live-action series. Haruka is no longer a self-sufficient kid, more of a bratty child who puts herself into trouble. Shimano looks like Dojima and acts like neither of them. And Yumi. Jeez, Yumi. She was more of a plot device than a character in the first game, but here I have no idea what her character is. It's like she's channeling Ada Wong if she was written for a daytime soap opera that your mom watches while drinking wine and being disappointed at her kids. Other important characters like Kazuki, Sarah, or Jingu don't even show up. Then again, no one wants to see Takeuchi pound stamina X's while getting gunned out by his immortal henchman. I'm not fighting against that bastard ever again, so I'm stealing footage of that boss fight from YouTube. My theory is that they had a scenario already written out for a crime drama, and they tried to shove in as many references to the game as possible. The result is the original cast not getting enough time to shine, as they had to make room for references to the games, which aren't even references because they couldn't even get a main character like Haruka down, much less a side character like Reina. So the plot is a mess, and it doesn't have anything to do with the source material other than some naming conventions, but maybe some fun action can salvage the show, and that was the strongest point of the Miike movie. Let's count the action scenes for the first 5 episodes. There's the first heist, Kiryu in the underground fighting ring, Kiryu fighting the goons outside prison, Kiryu getting assaulted while shopping, Kiryu, Nishiki, and Shibusawa, not that one, doing another heist, Kiryu and Nishiki vs Majima, Kiryu fighting Tekken rejects in episode 4, the Demon Mask eliminating some goons at a restaurant, and Kiryu fighting the Emperor in the underground arena. So that's 9 fights between 5 episodes that are all poorly edited to hide the crap choreography. And upon second watch, the fights are very poorly lit. They even tease you in episode 4. Kiryu and Yumi get jumped by a bunch of Omi goons, and you think Kiryu is about to bust some heads. Instead you get a boring conversation with Jean Goda of all people. Jean Goda didn't appear until Yakuza 2, and he's in Osaka! You don't go to Osaka in the first game! My favorite part of the whole series is how Kiryu gets his iconic Irezumi for every Tekken reject he defeats. The Tojo clan would add more to his back tattoo. You know, something that is very important and iconic to Kiryu. Once it's completed, Kiryu will become the next Dragon of Dojima, and they say it like that with a totally straight face. Give that writer an Academy Award, that is peak writing right there. At least episode 6 picks up the slack with some guns, Tojo and Umi goons scrapping it out in the middle of Kamurocho, Majima using his baseball bat, and Kiryu duking it out with a knife wielder on top of a high building. Wait, we got some cool fights, Yakuza going to war, and Kiryu fighting the main bad guy? Oh my gosh, it's like the game itself. But the producers didn't want game accuracy, so Kiryu gets stabbed and reveals that Nishiki has been wearing a mask and has been killing people as a demon. Because Nishiki is now a serial unaliver instead of an ambitious leader who used brutality to keep his men in check and made sure to not harm civilians. And I thought Zack Snyder had a bad read on characters. Then the series ends, Yumi survives, Kazuma has look like, I don't know what's happening, and we all just wasted our goddamn time. The biggest issue of Amazon's Like a Dragon series is that it commits the cardinal sin of any piece of media, and it is ungodly boring. There's barely any action, the writing is dry, there are no laughs, the plot moves at a glacial pace, and it's just sad to look at. Kamurocho is a dirty place, but the games make it look like somewhere that's rough but has a lot of life and character in it. That's why Kamurocho is one of the best hub worlds in gaming. You always want to visit it whenever there's a new Yakuza game. In the Amazon series, Kamurocho, Osaka, and even Nagano all look like miserable places to visit. And by the way, you don't go to Osaka or Nagano in the first title. Ultimately, the series just could not decide if it wanted to be an adaptation of the first game or be its own thing. And as a result, it hit this weird middle ground. A middle ground that wasn't very entertaining to watch. And just like that, the series faded away like a drunken Saturday night in Kabukicho. Whenever Like a Dragon gets adapted into live action, the producers fail to understand why the games are special. The games are masters of tone, knowing when to have a funny moment, but knowing when to take things seriously. They have the writing of a great drama, and have over-the-top action, larger-than-life characters, and locales that you never get tired of visiting. And being games, you can take your time and enjoy life in Kamurocho, or Sotenbori, or wherever, and explore the human element that gives the series its unique identity. Without skilled writers or someone really knowledgeable about the games, the adaptations just end up as an uninspired Yakuza story. Miike's movie had the spirit of the games, but left a lot unexplained for those who did not play the original title. Kurohyo was based on the PSP spin-off that never left Japan and doesn't involve Kiryu's story. Yakuza Soul Song is a spin-off that can resemble any generic Yakuza crime drama. Finally, Amazon's series feels like they tried to fit a square peg in a round hole and made a colossal waste of time. So 4 times the series failed to make the jump into live action. Maybe 5th time will be the charm. So there's my review of Amazon's Like a Dragon Beyond the Game series, and it was pretty bad. Not even bad in the sense that you can really make fun of it, it's bad in the sense that it's just boring, dry, and really forgettable. I had to watch this series twice, once for the first review, and once again for all the screen caps, and I cannot remember a single thing what happened in the series. If you do want to experience Yakuza 1, which you should because it's a great game, I say get this, it's now on Switch for a reasonable price, get some of this, and you're going to have a much better time than watching the Amazon series. By the way, for all my rum drinkers, this is one of the best rums I've ever had. So the series was pretty boring, but maybe there'll be a fun story behind the scenes in making the series, so let's take a look at that. From what I could gather, a live-action version of Like a Dragon started planning as far back as 2020. Man, doesn't that feel like a lifetime ago. Inspired by the success of the Sonic movie, Sega wanted to bring more of their franchise to live action. An article from Variety said that this was going to be a movie, and 1212 and Wild Sheep Content were looking for writers for a movie. News went quiet. Given how many planned video game movies quickly fall into development hell, many thought that this was quietly cancelled. News appeared in June 2024, when Amazon announced that they would be producing a live-action series directed by Masaharu Take. Seemed like a good match, especially with Amazon's Fallout series being so well received. As the year rolled on, more of Amazon's Yakuza series came out, and red flags started appearing. An interview with Games Radar revealed that neither Takeuchi or Kaku had played the original Yakuza games. In fact, the staff asked the crew to not play the games so they could explore their characters from scratch. Ah yes, the Bryan Singer on X-Men strategy. That's the second time I brought up the Fox X-Men movies in this video. That would explain why Kiryu and Ishiki don't act like they do in the games, and everybody else is just a character in name only. Masayoshi Yokoyama was an executive producer on the drama, and it's clear that he knew it was going to be a dud. He tried to temper expectations, saying that the drama was going to be its own take on the games. So it's good that he didn't write it off, and it's clear that effort went into making the drama. Ultimately, it was mediocre. A theory I've seen thrown around online is that someone had an original idea for a crime drama, but could not get it off the ground. Sega wanted to get Like a Dragon into live action again, and Amazon saw a show that wouldn't take a ton of money to produce, and would have a built-in fan base. Sega might not have had much involvement with the series, or were not able to make changes while filming was happening. Yokoyama's comments seem to imply that he knew the Amazon series wasn't going to be accurate to the games, but didn't want to throw anybody under the bus. It's hard to say what happened behind the scenes of Amazon's Like a Dragon, and we'll probably never know. All I know is Sega, you better get more of the Yakuza games on Switch because Ichiban needs to be in Smash 6. So as far as I know, there was no real behind-the-scenes drama of making this drama, but maybe there was some stuff that happened behind the scenes, but we'll probably never know about it. And well, I guess that's a sign we should wrap up the video. I'm a big fan of Sega's Like a Dragon series, so I was really looking forward to this drama, and it was a big letdown. I don't see myself reviewing too many more game-based dramas in the future unless they're really bad, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But it was a nice excuse to bust out the Kiryu outfit again. But leave me some comments. What are your Yakuza games from best to worst? Let me know down there in the comments because I know you're not going to watch the Amazon series. I'm just going to save you a lot of time right there. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so for notifications on future videos. Sorry if you haven't been getting alerted whenever I upload a new video, that's a YouTube issue. But you can also know when I upload a new video if you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at ZMangs. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Later everybody, take care.